What up? This is Insane Monster, and this will be the beginning part of What If Asta had Ultra Sans' powers? More or less, if you're wondering, yes, basically it is magic, his powers, but the main difference that will allow him to use the anti magic swords is that magic in Undertale is produced by the soul instead of the body, like in Black Clover, which is how Rades is able to make those wraiths use magic, the same magic as the people who used them before they died, and Rades got a hold of their corpses and all that. So, yeah, either way, let's get into the what if. Ultra Sans has been around hopping dimensions and getting bored. He's thinking, getting too old for this. And he ends up in the Black Clover universe, wondering what he should do. He has a lot of power, but he wonders if he shouldn't pass it on. Considering his current soul is a combination of merging a human soul with his monster soul, it might be possible to transfer it to somebody else. Though doing so would mean that his consciousness wouldn't be there anymore, though he isn't sure about much else. So he goes around secretly seeing humans, and then he sees a boy trying to fight a fully grown man about a necklace that he took from another boy that seemed like his friend. Eventually, the drunk man just walked away and left the necklace, and they wandered off, with these kids being Asta and Yuna. He used his teleport to kind of tail them, see what's going on, and watched for a while. When he understood, everybody in this world that he's seen has magic. Everyone except this kid, and yet he's so stubborn that he keeps pushing himself over and over. He wonders what kind of soul does this human have, considering he's so steady in his training and such. Maybe it's one of perseverance. Eventually, when Asa was training inside the skeletal remains of the demon, Sans decides to stop by him, though he waited till it got a little dark. He put on his hood and confronted him, asked him a couple of questions. Asta was curious about him, so he didn't really mind. And he didn't seem like such a bad guy at first, since he was being polite, though he was wondering why his face was so pale. Sans' skull, it may be a skeleton, but he does not have a normal skeleton head. So he thinks for a moment that he might be wearing some kind of magic mask. He asks him, "So you don't have magic, do you?" Arthur said, "Yeah, so what? I'm still going to be the Wizard King, no matter what." Sans he thinks and remembers what he's learned about this kingdom that he's currently in, the Clover Kingdom, and thinks, "Are you sure you can do that without magic?" Arthur says, "It doesn't matter. I've decided to do it, and that's what I'm going to do." Sans smirks for a little bit and says, "You know, kid, I've been around for a long time. I'm getting kind of old. So maybe, what would you say if I passed my power on to you?" Asta looked confused, thinking, "What are you talking about?" "Well, watch." He points at his chest, and Asta sees an orange glowing heart with an upside down white heart inside of it. He asks, "What is that?" Sans replies with, "It's my soul." I fought an enemy once, one that almost killed me. To survive, I had to take in somebody else's soul into my body so that I could become strong enough to defeat them. And I'm offering to give my soul to you. Wait, what? How is that possible? I don't understand. Sans uh, describes it to him that for him, he uses magic by it being produced from his soul, or in this case, the combination or whatever you want to refer it to as soul. He points at his chest and says, "Let's see what you have." When he does, he sees it's a yellow heart. Asta says, "Why is mine yellow and yours orange?" Sans says, "Well, orange souls or souls that represent bravery. Your soul represents justice, it seems, as a yellow soul. More or less, it means you have a strong sense of right and wrong. Well, and considering that, so you might be a good candidate to receive my power." Asta is excited and wondering, wait, if giving me your power means giving me your soul, what will happen to you? Fan smirks and laughs a bit, saying, "Well, I'll pass away, but mm, on my, if I had to guess, my knowledge and maybe my memories would probably all go to you, as well as the strong bravery from the soul that I merged with." He looks off his hood and Asta just looks at him. He doesn't have a actual neck except for a spinal cord, a spine that's with no meat on it. He freaks out, saying, What are you?" Sans got up and says, "Well, humans called my kind monsters, but species wise of monsters, I'm a skeleton. So, as for a proper introduction, the name's Sans. Sans the skeleton." Hustler gets up thinking, What's going on? Wait, did you kill somebody to get that soul that you were talking about?" Stan said, "No, I didn't. The soul was of someone who already passed a long time ago. It's just that someone I knew gave it to me. He told me to stop the monster that killed everyone I knew. When I when I give it to you, this soul and yours shall merge." Asta gulped, thinking, "Is it dangerous?" Stan smirked and thought for a second. "I don't think so. Where I come from, when there was a war between humans and monsters, monsters would attempt to grab human souls to gain more power, and vice versa, with humans trying to get monster souls. Though monster souls are a little bit more tricky to grab. And this comes from one of the comics that were made about Undertales, that particular part. So Sans stretched out his hand, saying, "Will you accept this power?" Also said, "What kind of power will I be gaining?" Sans gave him a quick rundown. This version of Sans does still have the Gaster Blasters, but he also has a powerful Gaster Blaster like thing that he does with his own mouth. Though, compared to the original, it's a lot more powerful. He shows him the bones that he summoned, both the regular and the blue ones, explaining what they do, telling him that the gauntlets he has are actually a part of the power from the soul of bravery. And Tells him about the teleportation as well as a modified gaster blaster that forms on his back to act like a jetpack for for flight and very very fast movement. So this version of Sans more or less kind of like a brawler type, as Asta kind of gets it but doesn't get it. So he says, "All right, so what do we do?" Sans just says, "Just hold still." He makes his soul come up and Asta's soul. He grabs his soul, which, like I said, is currently an orange heart shape with a upside down white heart inside of it, and then pulls it away from his body, connecting it to Asta's yellow soul when a bright light showed up. And then, oh, and Sam said, "Well, that's it. See you later, kid," as he just fell to dust with nothing but his clothes. Asta paused for a second. He, where in his mind he saw all of Sam's memories, as well as his knowledge. It took him a while to kind of focus. He felt like something was just running. So many things were running through his head, and he just couldn't stop it from coming. When he looked down, he saw his new soul. It was a similar heart shape, but the upside down white heart was still the same, but the orange heart was now split in two. Half of it was orange, and the other half was yellow. He had some memories, both from Sans' soul as well as the soul of the orange uh, soul, or whoever it belonged to. And he was trying to figure out what he should, if the gauntlets were a part of the orange soul's powers, then what would be part of the yellow soul? He goes through the memories and sees that there was a yellow soul that got put with orange one. They were able to communicate, and apparently, the yellow soul one's weapon was a six shooter, basically a pistol. Asta thought that looked kind of cool and very and really useful, so he tried to remake it using the yellow energy of his soul. Though there was some trial and error, but it was easier. Along with Sam's knowledge, he even got a decent intelligence boost, considering any Sans is like genius level scientist. It's not that far of a stretch. And he finally gets it right. Though he ends up, after that, he thinks, I should probably practice with these until I get it under control. He trains on and off, trying to keep this a secret from everybody. Though, what he realizes when he powers up this new magic he has, the whites of his eyes turn black. Black markings come down from his eyes all the way down his face, like in Ultra Sans' pictures that you see on the thumbnail. But one eye glows orange while the other one glows yellow. So when he really revs up his power, his eyes change from green to uh, sorry, to orange and yellow. He finds that he's testing some stuff out with his new pistols, that he trial and error some stuff, figures out that if he uses it correctly, he can do ricochet shots. And with Saiyajin's intelligence boost, calculating the ricochets isn't that hard. The teleportation is a little bit trickier for him to get a handle of because it feels weird for him just popping the disappearing from one place and popping up in someplace else. Though he gets the hang of it. The gas blasters and the breath attack that come with the powers of Ultra Saiyans, he figures is a bit too powerful to use on normal people. So he decides to keep them, to not use them unless he faces somebody that either can take it or he doesn't have a choice if he wants to win. So there's that. He even ends up picking up Sand's bad habit with puns, which he finds kind of weird, but seeing some of Sans' memories, he thinks, wait, did merging his soul with mine give me some of his personality traits? Oh, is that how that works? Eh, whatever. It doesn't bother him so much to where he freaks out or dwells over it. So, not much of a problem. At, at the point where he's about 11, he's gotten a good handle on the ricochet shot and been practicing hand to hand, though the most he can do is practice on any kind of wild beast that he come across while training. They know that he has some kind of magic that they've recognized, but Asta says it's just mad. I'm not sure what to call it, but I'll tell you when I figure it out. They don't. They've seen him use orange and yellow energy, as well as some bones, so they're not sure what it is. But eventually, Asta decides to name it Soul Magic, which is severely accurate for the power, at least. Though, one day while Asta was training, he wandered off a bit too much and got close to the border from the Clover Kingdom's border, uh, right next to the neutral zone, which Hodge is actually pretty close to. When he's there, he ends up meeting a man who wields a narrow sword known as a katana with black hair, smoking a cigarette. And yes, this is Yami. He meets him as he's slaying some beasts, taking as well as taking care of some mages from a different kingdom. Asta peeps in, and Yami notices his key, thinking, "The hell kind of key is that?" He goes over, and Asta kind of panics, but Yami hurries up and goes right towards him before he has a chance to run. And says, "Where are you from?" Asa just replies, I'm from Hotch. And he says, "Where is that?" "It's in the Clover Kingdom." He says, "Oh, alright." And he starts escorting Asta back and asked why was he out here. Asta said he was training with his magic. And Yami looked at him and asked, "Okay, what kind of magic do you use?" Asta replied with soul magic. Yami just stares at him thinking, "The hell? The hell is soul magic?" Asta just says, "Well, something like this." He shows him the soul he has, which, if you haven't been listening, it's a upside down white monster soul surrounded by a half orange, half yellow human soul. And then he points at Yami's chest, where Yami just reacts, "What are you pointing at?" And when he looks down, he sees a dark blue heart. Yami said, "What the hell?" Integrity. Yami looks at him saying, first off, what are you talking about? what is this and are why are you pointing at it? Asta explains that his magic allows him to use power produced from his soul instead of his body like normal people. A person's colored soul tells what that person has most of. There's 8 in total. Yami says, so integrity. That's supposed to be mine. The dark blue heart. Asta says, yeah. The others are patience, uh, kindness, determination, diligence, justice, bravery, and the last one's hate. He's kind of taken aback by that for a little minute and says, hate? What color is hate? He says, black. A soul that is black is one that is filled with hatred. And he looks at him asking, so what, you can see people's souls as this little heart, as those little heart things? Asta shakes his head saying, yeah. Then he asks the opposite question, then why is your soul so different? It's not only orange and yellow, but it has a weird white upside down heart. He says, well, I guess you can say someone who was really old said he wanted to pass power to me. He only had the white heart and the orange heart and I had a yellow one. When he passed it down and for me to have this power, he gave me his soul, merging it with mine. I have some of his memories and knowledge, but anything else, I ended up getting a bad thing for puns. Though I actually kind of enjoy it. And you're lucky I have a good feeling about you because you seem kind of like a shady guy. Which Yami says, is that a crack on my magic? Asta's just smirking. Uh, he says, so what? What exactly can you do with this? He doesn't show him the blasters, but he shows him the gauntlets and the gun. Yami says, is that it? Well, there are more, but I'd rather not use them unless I have to. Though I can still use these. He shows him the bones, both the regular, the blue, as well as the ones where one end is basically a spike. Yami says, alright, I got a couple of days before I have to go back. So, how about I teach you some stuff? You seem pretty interesting, kid. And if you ever go to the Magic Knight exams after getting your grimoire, then maybe you'll end up in my squad. Asta looks at him and says, you're part of a squad? He says, of course, that's what this robe's for. I'm the captain of the Black Bulls. I think I've heard some things about the Black Bulls. I've heard they're, like, crazy. Which, Yami says, yeah, yeah, kid, we're pretty crazy. We just do our own thing, without without caring about what anybody else says. It's pretty liberating. Which also thinks that kind of sounds nice. As for what Yami taught him, he taught him some basics about key sensing and some basic sword practice techniques. Just some regular exercises, telling him that if he uses them, it could help with strengthening in using those bones as weapons in his hands instead of shooting them out. Also, kind of understands what he's talking about, since having more ways to fight would be pretty useful. So after they split apart, Asta ends up back in the church and just continues. He's got good control over his new flight abilities, teleportation, as well as the power to grab people by their souls and move them around. Though he has to do it kind of that trick kind of discreetly. He doesn't want people catch. He doesn't think it's good to let people catch on to all he can do just yet. Kind of, and he's not really sure how the others at the church would react to a monstrous skull that fires a giant energy beam, or the fact that he can shoot a similar energy beam from his own mouth. So there's that. So when it comes to the yellow six shooters that he's been able to conjure, he's actually been prac- doing pretty well combining the ricochet shot with the key sensing. He's even used it to take down some wild beasts that he's dragged back to the Hotch village to be butchered and shared among everybody in Hotch village. Though that's about where much details about his powers so far that I'm going to give. There's a particular part he's going to have that I kind of like, but I want to save it for the entrance exam part. As for the rest of the what if, you'll have to wait until the next part. This was What If Asta Had Ultra Sans' Powers, Part 0. Hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And see you next time.